Hi, everybody. It's Eric Murray from the SugarHuddle.com. Last night, I wrote a story overnight recapping the Thursday night football game between the Colts and the Patriots, and so I just wanted to do a video recapping once again. I got to say, I was extremely impressed by the Colts last night. They still didn't cover the spread, which I picked the Patriots to cover. The Patriots were a 10.5-point favorite at home, short week, which always favors the home teams, as we've seen all year long. But I was really impressed, even though the Patriots won the game 38-24. I was super impressed by the Colts, to be honest with you. I mean, coming into the game, and I wrote about it in my article, and please go to thesugarhuddle.com and check it out. But in my recap that I wrote, I started off by saying, and this is a little history lesson for you youngsters out there, back in 1990, there was the famous body bag game between the Redskins and the Eagles. And the reason they called it that is because 9 Redskins got knocked out of that game, and at one point an Eagles player said to them, "Do you guys need any more body bags?" And it felt like for the Colts, it was a body bag game before the game even started, because the Colts actually came in the game, I believe it ended up being 13 players were inactive. Now, in the NFL, for some of you casual fans, it's a 53-man roster, but you're only allowed to activate 46 on game day. They actually had more injuries than inactive spots, because you have to have the 7 inactive spots. They had more injuries than inactive spots, so they had to sign guys off the practice squad, off the street, to fill out their roster. And actually, Eric Swope, the one backup tight end, I believe he was actually on the practice squad, and then he ends up scoring a touchdown in this game and got the Colts back in it. So it was pretty wild for the Colts. Body bag game coming into the game, they were missing a whole bunch of defensive starters. Defense was even more ravaged than the offense. And to make matters worse, they had 3 defensive starters that got knocked out of the game once the game was played. They had, and I don't know the exact number, but just watching the game, they had at least 4 or 5 other players on both sides of the ball that ended up having to come out at different points, that were hobbling around, that were banged up. So for this team to be as competitive as they were last night is really pretty remarkable, to be completely honest with you, because this is a team that they're the youngest in football. They're, with their first-year coach, Frank Reich, they're showing a lot of improvement every week, but they're still nonetheless only about a top 18 to 20 defense. They still have offensive line woes. They still really can't run the ball that well. And yet it was 24-17 with under 13 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. And unfortunately, a series of events, some tough luck for the Colts happened, and the Patriots were able to pull away. They were up 38-17. Colts scored a garbage time touchdown, make it 38-24. But 24-17, and I still thought at that point the Patriots would still win, but I thought maybe this would go to overtime. Maybe the Patriots win by a field goal or a touchdown or something. I was super impressed by the Colts. I mean, I know the Patriots won the game, and I'll get to the Patriots in a moment, but I was very, very impressed by the Colts and what they were able to do. They were down 24-3 at half, and it felt like the Patriots kind of took their foot off the gas in the second half. So I was super impressed by the Colts. The Colts all of a sudden were able to somewhat run the football in the second half. They were really able to elevate their game, but Andrew Luck was, I guess I'll use the word ravaged again. He was ravaged by five or six drops from his receivers, and some really huge drops. At least one drop led to an interception. Chester Rogers, who was usually pretty reliable, had a big, like, 25-yard gain in which he dropped the pass, should have caught it. So he had some tough luck there, literally and figuratively, pun intended. But nonetheless, Andrew Luck was very impressive again. 3 touchdowns and then 2 picks, and really neither one was his fault. Same with Tom Brady, who had 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Luck had 59 pass attempts, so again, way too many pass attempts, which I feared coming into the season. He ended up with 365 passing yards, and the running game only had 84 yards with a big chunk after halftime. But at any rate, I was really impressed with Luck. Offensive line only gave up 1 sack despite all the injuries they're dealing with as well. Nyheim Hines, who's really becoming a gadget player, 5'9", 198-pound, 4th-round rookie out of NC State. Last week, he was very impressive against the Texans, and here, 4 days later on the road, he was very productive, 90 total yards of offense, 7 catches, 45 yards, had some important plays. Then Eric Ebron, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, 4 years in Detroit, former first-round pick, dropped a lot of passes, comes to Indy, and he's been excellent. He's had a couple drops, had one in this game, but he ended up with 8 catches, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, really with T.Y. Hilton out of this game, he really was Luck's favorite target. Him and Luck are really developing a great relationship. He has 25 catches, 355 yards, and 5 touchdowns through 5 weeks. So he's well on his way to a Pro Bowl, and he's definitely stepped up for him. And then defensively, again, middle-of-the-road defense at best, have all these injuries, and they play the Patriots tough at times. And really the only reason they gave up as many points as they did was really because of self-inflicted wounds by the offense that kind of set the Patriots up and put them in good shape. And, of course, Brady in this game ends up with his 500th career touchdown pass, third player ever to do that. Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, the other two. Drew Brees, by the way, is at 496, so he's about to surpass 500 as well. But Brady had the long touchdown pass to Josh Gordon, which was a jump ball in between two defenders, really just kind of threw it up there for the hell of it. So defense played exceptionally well, really played the Patriots tough. And I look at this team, I say, you know what? I know it's early, and we saw some promise at the beginning of the Chuck Pagano and Ryan Grigson era, but the current GM, Chris Ballard, and like I mentioned, Frank Reich, first year as a head coach, they're on the rise. I mean, they're a really young team, a lot of inexperience, but if they can stay healthy down the road, this is a football team that really has a chance to possibly go on a Super Bowl run in a few years. And obviously, a lot of it's going to depend on Andrew Luck's health. That's a big thing, but coming into the season, I had him going 4-12 because I didn't think Luck was going to survive the whole season. He still takes some big hits, and he still might not survive the whole year. But even if he does, this team, because of injuries and everything else, they're 1-4 now, and I kind of think that maybe my 4-12 prediction is looking pretty good. Maybe they'll go on a run, maybe 6-10. But at any rate, I mean, they're a team that's on the rise. Despite the fact they're going to have a losing season, they're still a team that was very impressive. So I just want to give them a shout out. And as far as the Patriots, a lot of people were worried. They got off to the 1-2 start and just 2-2 after 4 weeks, even after the big win against Miami. But I figured that Miami win would jumpstart them. Short week, Indy's all beat up. They're going to kill them. They end up winning by a couple touchdowns. And, I look at the Patriots and say, you know what? 3 of their 6 Super Bowls they've won, and this was pointed out on Fox during the game, they were 2-2 or worse to start the season. The question is this team as magical as those teams? And one thing that impressed me coming out last night is last few weeks, they've really committed to running the football. Sony Michel, the rookie out of Georgia, he had 112 rushing yards last week, 8 on 25 carries, 18 for 98 in this game. I don't even know the last time the Patriots had a back-to-back 100-yard rusher, same player. So he barely missed out on that. And then James White, I mean, he's becoming so important. He had the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl 2 years ago against the Falcons. But in this game, he led the team receiving again, 8 for 68 and a touchdown last week, 112 total yards and 2 touchdowns. In this game, he had, I think, 10 catches for 74 and a touchdown. Pretty much all of it was in the first half. I think he had 9 for 71 at half with the touchdown. But those guys are really, really going to be huge. And, they're really going to help in the passing, or White, I should say, is really going to help in the passing game. It takes a lot of pressure off of Gronkowski. Defensively, they still have a lot of flaws, and they got saved by some cheap Colts turnovers. So what I'm really interested in seeing with the Patriots is a lot of people are wondering, could this be their first early playoff exit in a bunch of years? Because they're definitely going to win the AFC East again, but could this be their first early playoff exit in a bunch of years as opposed to, if not getting back to the Super Bowl, at least being in the AFC Championship game again? It's going to be interesting because they have another kind of litmus test next Sunday. They'll have a couple of days of rest. Next Sunday night, they host the Chiefs, who, of course, are going to have this tough game at home against the Jaguars this Sunday. So it's going to be really interesting to see because the Patriots, they fall back to 500 at 3-3 if they lose. If they really struggle badly defensively, and if the offense against the bad Chiefs defense isn't able to keep up, there's going to be a lot of question marks about this team, and maybe they'll just be a team that loses in the wild card round at home, something like that, which hasn't happened to them in a long time. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens next week. But I do think what they did against Miami and then what they did in this game against the Colts, granted both teams are a little bit lesser than the Chiefs, but I think they're starting to get on the right track. And I think the main thing for the Patriots is, even though there's still questions with some of the receivers and everything else, if they can consistently run the ball like they have, it's kind of similar to when they won the Super Bowl in 2004 with Corey Dillon, or even kind of 14 and 16 when LeGarrette Blount and company really did a nice job by committee. This team could be dangerous and could easily get back to the Super Bowl and win it again. We'll see. But anyways, that's what I got. The Thursday night recap. Go to sugarhuddle.com. Keep reading my articles. Obviously, I'll have all the recaps and everything on Sunday, everything else. Take care.